So here we have an RME model 69 along with the DB-20 Preselector. I've got a signal generator feeding the receiver only at the moment with 25 megahertz at about 70 microvolt signals. You get a reasonable signal strength to indicate on the S meter here, and the little tiny SA over there is monitoring the local oscillator frequency just to make sure I'm on the right frequency, and it's currently showing 25.465, which is correct because the local oscillator tracks high of the received signal. So the signal is peaked using this control. It's called the resonator control, which peaks the antenna, first RF and mixer stages together, and we've got an S meter, or actually DB reading of 30 dBs. It's calibrated in decibels and in S units. There's 30 decibels on the S meter there. So what I'll do now is I'll tune to the image frequency, which is 25.93. That's the received signal plus twice the local oscillator frequency. So I'll set the signal generator for 25.93 megahertz. So now we're receiving the image frequency, and it's still perfectly audible, and the carrier levels drop down to 18 decibels. So we've got 19 decibels, so we've got something in the order of about 10 or 11 decibels difference. It's still a very clearly audible signal there. Now what I'll do is I'll switch the pre-selector into circuit, and I can't do this with a quick flick of a switch. I've got to disconnect and connect a wire at the back. So I'll do that. First I'll reset the local oscillator, the signal generator to 25 megahertz. So we're back up to 30 dBs on the carrier level indicator there. So the pre-selector is now in circuit. You can hear an increase in the noise level there. And the signal generator is now connected to the input of the pre-selector. So we've now got about 50 decibels on the carrier indicator, so quite an increase in gain there. And I'll just tune the pre-selector so you can see that it's actually peaking at 25 megahertz on the dial. And we're still peaked here. And we're still on the correct frequency. So I'll now switch the local oscillator to 25.93. Sorry, the signal generator 25.93, and it's barely audible. It's definitely an improvement in the image response there. I've got reading something like 25 dBs on the meter. That's mostly noise. It's hardly any signal being received, hardly any of the image being received, which is much better than without the pre-selector. And of course you've got the additional gain plus a bit of additional noise, so it's a bit of a trade-off, but it's definitely an improvement to reject unwanted image frequency signals using the pre-selector. On the higher bands 5 and 6, it really is of benefit. Just lift the lid down and see where the connection to the spectrum analyzer is just an E-field probe pushed slightly into the screening can of the local oscillator tube. The set's remarkably stable actually. At 25 megas it'll sit there all day. Once it's been allowed to warm for half an hour, that's pretty good. But the other thing is, if you don't have this control set correctly, you can actually peak quite easily on the image frequency, even with the preselector in place. And without the preselector in place, it's even worse. So this has got to be very, very careful to set the called the resonator control exactly right. Put the signal generator back to 25 megahertz. So this combination would be pretty good in the late 1930s for ham radio use, and the setup on this receiver and the preselector is really focused towards the 40 meter and 20 meter ham bands. That's really what you're peaking the tune circuits up for, because it doesn't allow full tracking on all of the bands. There's no padders apart from the broadcast band. There's no tuning of the slugs for the low ends of the bands, and there's not even trimmers on all of the bands on all of the sections of the preselector. So it's still limited, but it's for what it was designed for and what it's used for. It's probably a pretty good receiver for its time.